I still can't believe what we witnessed. I mean, I've watched the PGA Tour every single week for years. I've seen collapses, comebacks, playoff drama, rules controversies. But what happened recently? That was something else entirely. There are moments in sports where everything just stops feeling normal, where you're sitting there thinking, wait, is this actually real? And for a few hours, the entire golf world felt upside down. It wasn't about birdies or bogeys. It wasn't about strokes gained or FedEx Cup points. It was bigger, stranger, and honestly, kind of surreal. And what happened after? That might have been even crazier than the moment itself. If you're a real PGA Tour fan, you know this is the kind of story that sticks with the game forever. So before we get into all the details, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. PGA Tour. Today is brand new. We're pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers, and if you live and breathe PGA Tour golf like I do, this is the place for you. All right, let's talk about what actually went down. So here's where things went from shocking to completely unbelievable. We're at the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club, major week. The energy is already intense, and then, early in the morning, around 6 o'clock, everything explodes into chaos. Scottie Scheffler, the world #1, four-time major champion, is trying to get into the course for his second round. There had been a fatal accident outside the club that caused massive traffic delays. He attempts to navigate around the congestion to make his tee time, and ends up being detained by police. Let that sink in. The best player in the world, during a major, in handcuffs. It sounds fake even saying it out loud. He was booked, charged, put into a holding cell. And while all this is happening, the golf world is trying to process it in real time. Social media was exploding. TV coverage was scrambling. Nobody knew what was going on. And then comes one of the wildest details of this entire saga. Scheffler later went on the Bob Does Sports YouTube channel and described sitting alone in a holding cell, stretching, trying to stay loose, and realizing he could see a television from inside the cell. And on that television, he saw himself. That's the moment it hit him. He said his head was spinning. He couldn't believe how he ended up there. And then he noticed play had been delayed. That tiny window of hope hit him. Maybe I can still get out of here and make my tee time. That mindset? That's elite-level composure. Eventually, prosecutors agreed to drop all charges, but not until after the tournament. He was released, and somehow, he made it back in time to play. And what does he do? He shoots a 66 in a major, hours after being in jail. He ends up finishing tied for 8th place. Under those circumstances, that might be one of the most mentally tough performances I've ever seen on the PGA Tour. But here's where it gets even more surreal. When Scheffler returned to the course, fans were waiting. And they didn't just clap politely, they erupted. People were wearing Free Scotty shirts. The energy at the 10th tee was electric, loud, emotional, over the top, and Scheffler admitted later that he was completely confused by it. He said the reception was one of the loudest he'd ever received. The crowd was going crazy, and in his mind he was thinking, I was literally in jail 30 minutes ago. That contrast, it's almost cinematic. From a holding cell to a hero's welcome in a major championship. It's the kind of sports story you genuinely could not script. And here's the thing, this isn't just some random player. This is the world #1, the most dominant force in golf right now. And this bizarre chapter is now permanently part of his legacy. Fast forward to this week. Scheffler is teeing it up at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am at Pebble Beach Golf Links, one of the most iconic venues in the sport. A U.S. Open course, history everywhere you look, and a stacked field chasing the defending champion Rory McIlroy, who won here in 2025. But here's the concern. Scheffler opened with a round over par. And if you've been watching closely, this has become a bit of a pattern. He did the same thing at the WM Phoenix Open, opened slow, looked a little off, and then somehow stormed back to finish just one shot off the lead after 3 days of incredible recovery golf. But Pebble is different. This place punishes you. The greens, the wind off the Pacific, the pressure of the history. You can't keep spotting the field strokes and expect to chase everyone down. If Scheffler wants to maintain this dominant stretch and keep that world #1 aura intact, he has to clean up these slow starts. You can't always rely on heroic comebacks, even for someone as mentally strong as he is, and that's what makes this moment so fascinating. On one hand, we just witnessed one of the most unforgettable episodes in golf history, something that will be talked about decades from now. On the other hand, we're watching the #1 player in the world battle through a subtle but real competitive trend that could matter when the majors roll around again. This season is shaping up to be intense. The rankings are tight, the fields are stacked, and every little edge matters. But if there's one thing we learned from Valhalla, never count this guy out. From a jail cell to a 66 in a major, I'm not betting against that kind of resilience anytime soon. All right, now I want to hear from you. Did that Valhalla moment make you respect Scheffler even more? Or are you worried about these slow starts creeping into his game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk golf like real fans. If you're asking me what I think after all of that, honestly, my respect for Scotty went up. Not because he shot 66, not because he finished tied for 8th. We already know he's the best player in the world. That's not new. What impressed me was the composure. Think about it. You wake up for a major championship round. You're dealing with chaos outside the course. You get detained. You're sitting alone in a holding cell. You see yourself on TV. Your name is everywhere. The entire sports world is talking about you. Most players would be mentally cooked for the week, but he wasn't. He didn't come out angry. He didn't look rattled. He didn't implode. He didn't turn it into drama. He just played golf. Elite golf. That tells me something about who he is internally. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to ignore the current trend with these slow starts. Opening over par at big events? You can't keep doing that forever. Eventually, it bites you, especially at places like Pebble Beach or in a U.S. Open setup. So here's where I land. The Valhalla situation made me trust his mentality even more. But these slow first rounds? That's the only tiny crack I see right now. And the scary part? If he cleans that up, if he starts fast instead of chasing, we might be looking at another dominant stretch that separates him from the field again. So, yeah, after everything, I'm not doubting him. If anything, I think that whole episode proved why he's #1. Now, I really want to know, did that whole situation change how you see him? And if you're loving honest, passionate PGA Tour talk like this, hit like, subscribe to PGA Tour Today. We're just getting started, pushing toward our first 100 subscribers. And if you're here every week watching the tour like I am, this channel is for you. See you in the next one.